Welcome to the Mind Body Manifest podcast. I'm your host, Laura Gilly, certified mindset and manifestation coach, yoga and meditation teacher, and wellness retreat leader. This podcast is your go-to space for all things spirituality, subconscious reprogramming, manifestation, personal development, and entrepreneurship. I'm here to help ambitious women and female leaders like you step into your fullest potential so you can impact the world with your unique gifts and create the life of your wildest dreams. Each week, we'll dive deep into soulful conversations, actionable strategies, tools, and mindset shifts that will help you up-level your reality and create success from the inside out. So if you're ready to elevate your mind, heal within, and manifest unstoppable success, you're in the right place. Let's go. Welcome back to the Mind Body Manifest podcast. I'm your host, Laura, and today we have a very special guest, Iva. Iva is a human design expert for online business owners, and she helps you communicate your it factor and magnetize clients with human design. So welcome, Iva. I am so excited to chat with you today. Welcome.
Likewise. Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm excited to chat with you. Laura and I know each other from a while back. We worked together, and it's just been amazing watching your journey, unfold and change and evolve over the years. So I'm excited to catch up and chat on this podcast episode and share all of our wisdom with all of the listeners.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a while. So I had the pleasure of working with Iva back in 2022. I think it was the very beginning of 2022. And this was like a big pivot year for me. I had just started getting into hosting retreats. And I remember coming to you and I was just feeling like really lost on my messaging. I had just gotten out of a coaching program that left me feeling all confused. And so I was pivoting to retreats. And I remember I was nervous because I was about to host. I just launched my second retreat and I really needed to start bringing in clients. And I did this, I'm not even sure what the session was called, but it was long. It was a long session where you dove into my chart and helped me get clear on where my messaging was lacking and who I needed to specifically speak to and how to communicate that and what my natural gifts were based on my energy. It was really mind-blowing. And I had only known a little bit about human design, but you opened up something within me. And I ended up selling out that retreat, got 12 amazing women capacity, and I booked a few more high-ticket clients. So you did something. You unleashed some magic in me. And ever since then, I have felt really aligned with human design. I think that it's an important piece to manifesting. So we'll get into a little bit about that. But Iva, can you just tell us a little bit about maybe how you discovered human design and break it down in a very simple way for the people out there who are like,
Absolutely.
What the heck is human design? Tell us what it is.
Absolutely.
Make it easy for us.
I will. That's a gift that I have of simplifying things. So, wow, human design is this beautiful blend of astrology, Yi Ching, the chakra system, Kabbalah, and a little bit of quantum mechanics, physics. And just like astrology, it reveals to us who we are. It's incredible because you can really leverage it to make decisions in your life and really figure out, this is the thing that most of us struggle with, me included. It's like we're going in certain directions, but we don't know that this is not the direction that we're meant to go in. This is not the thing that we're meant to be doing. But we're doing it because we've been so conditioned to think this is the way, this is how you're meant to do it, or you got this talent, you need to go in this direction. It's either the outside world that convinces us into something or conditions us into something, or we even fool ourselves with the shoulds. And so as a manifesting generator myself. I'm the type, there's like 5 types in human design, and I'm the type that is multi-talented and loves to jump into different things and have a lot of balls in the air. And so with that, I have a lot of talents and skills, but I had a struggle with really pinpointing what is my it factor? What makes me different? I left actually 12 years of architecture behind me and slowly went into branding and design. And then because I was working at the Belgrade Design Week, it was an incredible event filled with everything from speakers to exhibits and things like that. And it was through them that I got sucked into this world of entrepreneurship and innovation and creating something that makes a difference, because I was watching all of these speakers. It's kind of like TEDx, in a way. I was watching all of these leaders in the space of architecture design talking about how they're making this big impact, and I was wowed by them. And I wanted to go in my own direction. So along the way, I found human design. And once I discovered it, I was like, wow, these insights are extremely precise. And it's illuminating exactly why I was feeling off about something, why something was just feeling like walking through mud. And it was because I was misusing my energy. I was saying yes when I was supposed to say no, when I wanted to say no, but I was shooting myself into saying yes. And to bring it back to business, this is the thing that most of us do. You find someone who is succeeding and you're like, I love that lifestyle. I love that kind of approach. And let me emulate what you're doing, which is totally fine. But the way that we go about it now with human design is like, let me first figure out what really fits me. There's people who are pushing themselves to be on video because this is the way to go. But they are introverts, they're hermits. They don't have a defined throat center, meaning they're not meant to constantly be speaking and showing up every single day on video. It's exhausting. You got to push yourself to do it instead of enjoy and flow through it. And so once you figure out what is in alignment for you, then you can look at people who are emulating the success. I'm meant for podcasting? Yes. This feels beautiful. It feels like a relief. I don't need to do video. My God, and I can succeed in podcasts. Now let's see who's running the best podcasts and what they're doing and reverse engineer their success, right? Yeah. So this is like the good way to go about it. Figure out who you are, and then according to that, bring in the resources, the skills, the strategies, and all the good stuff to support that journey forward, right? Design is incredibly powerful in really illuminating all of who you are and all of the, misalignments and energy leaks and blocks. It is just incredibly practical. I love astrology as well, and I use it as well. And for different things and different purposes, I find human design a little bit easier to understand. It's just the practicality. Here's the shadow, here's the gift, boom, I know immediately what is out of alignment, what is in alignment, and I can follow that. And it just transforms everything really quickly in a way.
Yeah, so amazing. What I'm hearing you say is once you understand your unique energy blueprint and how you best operate, like business can become easy. It can feel more easy. So understanding who you truly are, once you understand that first, then the business strategy comes after that. But I think so many people do it backwards. They look for the people that they admire, that are successful, and then they try to emulate their business strategy when they're pushing and shoving and it's just not working. And then they feel stuck. There's a reason why, and your human design energy can tell you why that is and what changes you need to make, and boom, things can start flowing.
Exactly. We see this all of the time. And for me, for example, I'm a profile line 2. I'm the hermit. And so I was pushing myself before to show up on Instagram, TikTok, all this video, but that's the key word. I was pushing. Yeah. That's the main difference. This is why this aligned success feels so good, because nothing feels like a push. If you love cooking, you don't need to push yourself to cook dinner. You're going to be like, oh my God, this is the time that I get to have fun and enjoy myself and play some music and dance around the kitchen and chop, chop, chop. But then someone else hates that. They hate it, despise cooking. So they have to push themselves to cook. And it's a simple analogy for our business as well. Anywhere where you feel like you constantly need to push yourself, you're constantly rolling your eyes at having to do something, it's not in alignment. The things that are in alignment are the things that you're pulled to, the things that you're like, oh, I love doing my podcast. I love sharing my wisdom. I love showing up on video. It's 100 times easier than putting words down on paper and into a blog post. Whatever
Right.
it is, wherever you don't have to push yourself, that's, your aligned pathway to success. And that's the sustainable success. I serve a lot of clients who are pivoting. They've succeeded.
Yeah.
They got the 6 figures, multi 6 figures, but they come to me and they're like, nothing feels good. I'm rolling my eyes at this. I got to push myself to do this. It's like walking through mud. I dread waking up. I got all the money and on paper I'm amazing, but inside I'm empty. And so we do the pivot. We realign things. We say no to things. We say yes to things. And everything just starts feeling like fairy dust.
Oh,
Everything just
yeah.
starts to feel like, oh my God, I'm having fun again, because you're doing the things that you love. And everything starts to flow and success starts to come even more because now you're fired up. You got all of this energy being activated. It's no longer being dimmed down and suppressed. It's all getting activated and it's fueling everything that you're doing. So you're showing up with enthusiasm wherever you decide to show up. And you're promoting your stuff with love. And everything is just happening with this beautiful energy backing it instead of running on empty, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, it's all energy. We are energy, and the energy has to move. And when it's not moving, you feel stuck. What I'm also hearing you say is that once you understand your energy type, so maybe we can talk a little bit about what the types are, just to give people a general understanding. It's easier to work in flow, and it gives you permission to do things in your own way once you understand your energy type. Like a client came to me and we figured out what I obviously don't do the human design with her, but I have an app that will tell me a little bit about it. So I'll tell them what their energy type is. And sometimes just understanding what their type is will give them permission. So I had one client who realized she's a manifesting generator like you. And she had all these interests. And I'm like, you are meant to be able to handle multiple things. Your energy type is that you are the type of person who can have multiple different interests that maybe seem totally disconnected, but you can do it. You can thrive doing multiple things if you want to. If that feels exciting for you, do it. And she was like, oh my God. Okay. Because society will condition you, especially in the coaching industry. You need to find one very specific niche and only do that. And yes, I think that is helpful advice, but some people can handle doing multiple things and have multiple businesses. So tell us a little bit about the type.
So there's 5 different types in human design: generators and manifesting generators. And manifesting generators are technically a subtype of generators. We are these sacral beings. We have this infinite well of energy that is only activated when we're doing what we love. And when we're, doing some shoulds and things we don't want to do, that energy is kind of dull. So we have this energy. We make up 70% of the population. There's also projectors, manifestors, and reflectors. Reflectors are very interesting for me. They make up 1 or 2% of the population. And they are the ones who really are completely open, so to say. They're here to reflect back to us what is going on around us and the health and the well-being, sustainability, alignment of things. They see so deeply into all of us in the collective. And they can reflect back to us what is going on and help us recalibrate and realign. They're super wise about everyone, and they're amazing guides, amazing coaches, consultants.
Have any specific ones that you know of, like any celebrities?
No, actually, I'm bad not remembering those things at all. My mind can take a lot of information, but it just gets out. I've been in a 2-year relationship with a reflector, so I'm very familiar with reflectors, and my best friend is married to one. So I feel like I have an into how they operate.
Do you feel like they're a big mirror for you in a relationship? No, your partner is always going to mirror back to you everything.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
Do you feel like, especially dating a reflector, that they do that?
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There's many things showing up in there throughout the relationship. Let's say emotions, because they're so open, I can be going and I have a defined emotional center, meaning I'm constantly going through these emotional waves, right? Smaller, bigger ones. And so I would go through something and my partner would hold space for me. But then later on, things would show up and crystallize, and she could reflect back to me what was going on and illuminate a lot of things. But they would also go through their own little thing of having to release these emotions. So if I'm having a bad day, she would hold beautiful space for me. But then later on, all of a sudden, she feels kind of strange.
Yeah.
They're absorbing all of that. And anyway, to wrap up with the types, the projectors, manifestors, and reflectors are non-sacral types. So they make up the 30% of the population. And they're not here to do the doing. Manifestors are here to lead the way. They are the ones who really are meant to initiate new things. They have these urges, right? Yes, there's this urge in them to do a certain thing. And when the urge is there, don't stop them. They are meant to trailblaze and pave this path, but they're not meant to, just like us generators, stay there and just continue to grow this on their own, because their energy is there and then it goes away because they are non-sacral types. So this energy is on and off. So the urge is there. They pull all their energy into that. They start these movements. The coaches that I worked with who are manifestors, they're literally trailblazers, change makers, leaders of movements. And usually a great approach is creating a movement, creating a brand around a movement, and creating a method, a signature method that you're known for, that you can then use and serve different people with. People at the beginning stages, in courses, digital products, people in intermediate and more expert stages. So creating this movement and spreading this message, because they have this defined throat. They're meant to speak things out into existence and pull people to them, to this movement. But make sure that you, on the back end, have support in the terms of systems and automations and all these things that can take care of stuff for you, as well as having either team members or someone that you're delegating or outsourcing to that can help you actually really stay consistent in the execution of everything.
Yeah.
And so the other type, the final type, the projectors, also non-energy, non-sacral types, they are really the deep seers. They can penetrate through us and see what's going on. They're meant to really guide us. They're meant to guide us forward and share their wisdom with us and to help us also align and realign, somewhat like a reflector. But again, usually talking about the conditioning, that misalignment, and getting that permission. Projectors, as well as manifesting generators, really love getting that news, some way, shape, and form, that they are a projector or a manifesting generator, because like, oh my God, it makes sense now. It makes sense why everyone else is just keeping it going, but my energy is on and off. Well,
Yeah.
on and off because you have this openness. And so your energy here is on and off. It's not consistent and always there. It ebbs and flows. So you need to learn how to work with that ebb and flow and to do smart work. Let's implement an email sequence that sells for you. Let's implement Pinterest for that traffic that gets people into your email sequence. And then the email sequence does the selling for you. So you don't have to show up on freaking Instagram every single day or TikTok 3 times a day. That is not really sustainable for you unless you have a team behind you, systems behind you that will help you. So it's the easiest thing in the world for you to show up and share your wisdom. But just using this as an example. So really, they need to be smart about how they're working and let all these other systems work for them, and also leverage any kind of actions that are evergreen. Blog posts, podcasts, all of these things that don't die after 24 hours and go into the black hole. No, your blog post, your podcast can be found 10 years down the line and can keep bringing you clients 10 years down the line. So let's leverage those actions instead of these short-lived ones. But yes, understanding your type and the strategy of each type, and how your energy gets activated, that's the key. If you understand that and you are in alignment just with that, everything else can fall into place, right? This is why all of us in human design always preach about like follow your strategy and your authority, your decision-making authority. You Google that, you'll learn more. Not to go into all of the explanations here. Once you follow that inner decision-making process and, where your energy wants to go, that's alignment, and that will lead you to prosperity and to manifestations.
Yeah. And what I've also discovered is that a lot of the blocks that we have. So I work a lot with clients on their subconscious programming. So it's uncovering their core wounds and their deep rooted limiting beliefs and fears that are blocking them from taking the action and creating the life that they desire or the business that they desire. And so what I've learned also with human design is that you can trace that back to their energy centers and their gates. Could you explain, because I've always been a little bit confused about the gates. Can you just explain what those are and how that works and how it's related to your limiting beliefs?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And this is very interesting because right now on my Substack, I'm doing a whole series of money blocks in the centers. In human design, there are chakras. There are 9 centers, and each center is, a different thing. We have the throat center, the sacral center, the emotional center, etc. So, for example, a blog post I wrote about the money blocks in the spleen center. The spleen is on one hand connected to intuition. On the other hand, it's illuminating all of our fears, right? In the spleen, there's multiple gates, which are these 64 different expressions of energy. They're based in the Yi Jing, and they basically describe the entire 64 ways of being, thinking, how energy is expressed.
Is it how it's moving through the body in a way?
It's not really how it's moving through the body. It's more like what the energy is. Let's say gate 23 is all about simplicity. On the shadow side, it's complexity. So you have the black and white, the shadow and the gift. And so I have the gate 23 in my sun. So I'm all about simplifying things. But before, when I was stuck because I was complicating things.
Yeah.
So when I look at each of the gates, they illuminate for me what your block is. We don't have all 64. We have a different amount for each person. Not everyone has the same amount of gates. Some are repeated in our chart multiple times. Not to go deep into that, I have a whole blog on Substack about understanding what the chart is and how it works and how it's created. So you'll have all that in the show notes.
Okay, good.
But yeah, just the shadow of it, knowing that complexity is the shadow, I was like, oh my God, yes.
I'm overcomplicating things.
And it's also a lack of trust and simplicity. And that's a big, big block that I see in most people. And it is this lack of trust in simplicity. And it's like, oh, well, if it's that simple, then, that's suspicious. Wouldn't everyone be using it if we're that simple? Yeah, you must be gatekeeping something. It must be more complex than that. And so because of that lack of trust, you don't do this simple thing that is going to get your results. You complicate it, and then you procrastinate, and then you don't take action, and then the action you're taking feels dreadful, and it's all going south. Every single one of these gates illuminates different blocks. So in the spleen center, where a lot of our fears are being illuminated, I have, for example, the gate 44, which is all about patterns, but also it has the fear of the past repeating itself. So how that translates into business is basically this thing which one of my mentors, Margaret Lynch Renier, calls goal trauma. We all have tried going after certain goals and failed or ended up being disappointed. We put in all the effort. Everything was feeling good, but somehow it didn't turn out well. Or someone disappointed us or whatever. Something happened and there was a big disappointment. And so there's small t trauma around this goal.
Right.
And with that, we need to release that, because if we keep carrying that, then we can no longer, just like a beginner, jump into something with all of the excitement and really go all in. You're like half in, half out, because you're like, I'm going to kind of go in, but then I'm also going to protect myself and prepare myself for failure. And so you're not all in. And because you're not all in, you're blocked. And it's more likely than not to not result in great things.
We'll do anything to avoid pain. So repeating the past trauma or the past pain, whatever that is, will do anything to avoid it. So consciously, you're like, yes, I'm all in. Of course, I want this goal. Of course, I want to achieve this. Of course, I want that success. But subconsciously and on a deeper energetic level, you're afraid of repeating the past pain and failing or whatever it is. And so you repeat what you unconsciously know is familiar. And so if you're only dipping your toe half in, half out, too afraid of it not working, me saying I went all in and then failing would feel like a bigger loss than me just dipping my toe in and saying I didn't really go all in. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's the whole thing. Each of these gates holds a lesson for us and holds this wisdom for us around where we're blocking ourselves. And each of these gates is within a different center, let's say the throat center. So it's going to be connected to communication and how we express ourselves, or the emotional center. I have a very defined emotional center, and I have all of the 4 emotional waves, which can go from smaller waves to big crashes where I get my excitement all up and then something happens, I get disappointed, and then there's a huge crash and I'm on the kitchen floor crying.
Yeah.
And so before, I used to be thrown around by all of these emotional waves. But once I understood what they are and how they operate, how this emotional energy builds up and how it gets released and how it crashes, I learned what to do. I learned how to pay attention to them, to track them, and realize, oh, I'm just entering this melancholy wave and it's okay. It's just going to pass. I don't need to overthink it. I don't need to problem solve it. Just let it run its course. I'm just going to do my breath work, do my EFT tapping, boom, boom, done. And that's it. I have a whole blog post about that on my Substack as well. Understanding the 4 waves, and then another one sharing my story of how I got off the roller coaster. When I actually started doing the simple thing, which is breath work and EFT tapping when I needed to really release something, that it all just balanced out. And there's this neutrality. And even if something happens, it no longer throws me off. I am in control of my experience. It's no longer controlling me. I know how to navigate it. I know how to manage. I know how to release. I know how to balance myself. And it was because of human design illuminating these waves and how each of them operate. And by the way, 50% of the population has this center defined, meaning you're constantly going through waves, and the rest amplifying the waves from everyone else. All of a sudden, I met with this friend who was in a pickle, and now I'm feeling down and confused. It's because of them. Their energy influenced you.
And you don't even realize it at first. Sometimes it's so subtle that you don't realize that you've picked up somebody else's energy. That's not even yours. And you're like, why am I so activated? And it's more than being an empath. Yeah.
It's more than being an empath. And a lot of empaths do have the center open. But yeah, in any case, it really is that subtle. And especially for those who have the center open, it's so easy to fall into everyone else's emotions or to taint your current experience, your life, your perspective with someone else's emotions. Maybe someone next to you is going through grief or whatever, and all of a sudden you're feeling really down. So if you start to understand, oh, this is not mine, let me release it, and you learn how to release it, that's it. Now you're in control of your own life, of your own experience, and you're no longer thrown around.
Without that knowledge, how do you, without that knowledge, you just keep going throughout life, feeling activated, stressed, thrown around. Yeah. And you're right. Those nervous system regulation tools like breathwork and EFT are free tools that anybody can access at any moment in time. It's so easy to do. We overcomplicate things. We think, I'm so stressed out, I need to do X, Y, Z, and hire this person, help me do it. No. Number one, recognize when you're picking up somebody else's energy or emotions that aren't yours, and use the tools that you have. It can be simple, but I love that human design was able to illuminate that for you. And there was so many things you can learn from it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the dangerous thing, again, about the simplicity. I used to brush off breath work. And I'm like, well, you just breathe in a specific pattern and all of a sudden You're emotionally and mentally clear. What are you talking about? But then I actually had an experience with it. A coach guided me through an experience. And then afterward, it was beautiful. That was great. But then afterwards, I received some pretty shocking news. And with that shocking news, I just went into a spiral. My mind was a hurricane. Everything was going on in there. And I was like, what is going to happen now? What's going to happen with this person? Are they going to be okay? Who do I call? What do I do? How do I help from the other side of the world? It was 1,000 thoughts all rushing in. And it was overwhelming. And I was in this hyperventilation mode. And it's a lot. And I remembered that breath, that conscious connected breathing, which is super freaking simple, just in and out through your mouth without a pause in between. And after I did 90 seconds of that breath, it feels like you're in an airplane that's going through a thunderstorm. That's how it feels when you start. And then when you finish with the breath work, after just a measly 90 seconds, you feel like you're above the clouds and there's peace. And the situation didn't go away. Situation is still there and still shitty. But you now have this centered, peaceful inner state from which you can now objectively observe the situation. And you're more resourceful because you see far and wide. You're no longer blocked by the fear and ego perspective. You can see everything. And now you can approach the situation with grace, with resourcefulness, and really manage it in the best possible way instead of from a place of being triggered. So that's absolutely incredible. And Breathe with Sandy on YouTube, he is the king of breath work, and he uses this conscious connected breathing a lot. In 80% of his videos, he mixes it in. He calls it psychedelic breath work, and it doesn't cause any psychedelic experiences, but it does shift your perspective of the world. It gets you out of one state and into another, which is exactly what any kind of psychedelic drug does for you. It takes you out of one perspective, one viewpoint, and opens you up to a whole other one.
I'm 100% with you. I'm all about the embodiment tools, the breath work, the EFT, the meditation, hypnosis. Those are my jam because those tools can be so life-changing and really just help you to get back into alignment, realign your energy with who you truly are. I think that when we get in those activated, stressful states, it takes us out of our center, out of our alignment. And that's really what human design is about too. It's illuminating when you are out of alignment with your true self and your energy. And so those are just other amazing tools that can help bring you back into alignment.
Yeah, exactly. And this is how I created my soft method. See your magic, own your magic, then you can flaunt it, and finally you can keep tweaking. So SOFT. And so the human design aspect is just the first seeing your magic, who you are, what's going on, what's in alignment, what's not in alignment, what's the best path forward. But after you see it, you got to do the work to own the magic. A lot of us, 70% of the population, has issues with self-worth and feels like they need to prove themselves over and over, and it's never enough. And they don't like talking about themselves, promoting themselves. That's a block. That's a complete block to growing your business. It's simple. Once you start using these tools like EFT tapping, NLP, breathwork, to release those blocks, to shift your perspective into a healthier perspective that is serving you, everything starts to flow. And then you can flaunt all of the magic that you've got through, your content and the messaging that is now aligned, and you can keep going and keep tweaking along the way, keep evolving with, the world. I say there's always 3 levels of alignment. One is with our why. Are we following what, our North Star? The second is like, what we're doing, right? The strategy, the things that we are using to get to that North Star. And then the final is like how we're doing things, right? Mm-hmm. Like the process that we're using, everything. The systems that are in place, the daily action step, the routines. Sometimes it's not the strategy that's misaligned. It's just how you're approaching it. Maybe you're not really doing it well. And of course, it's frustrating. A lot of people have an issue with content, especially in the beginning stages. I see you not being able to stop talking about this thing. So you're creating content in every single second. But what you don't like is the platform that you're on, or the process of creating that content. So let's find an aligned way to do it. And this is then that beautiful power of human design and why I can't imagine working without it was because it is a shortcut for me as a coach to guide you, to know what is in alignment for you and to tailor all the strategies to that and to understand your it factor and what are the aspects of who you are that we can highlight in your brand. So for me, it's that 2343 channel. The channels are our superpowers. So I even have a blog post about how to figure out your it factor, again, on my Substack. So you'll get access to that too. And it's fascinating. So for example, my 2343 channel is all about that simplicity, but also breaking down complex things and making them easy and digestible. It's about sharing breakthrough insights. And lo and behold, my entire online presence and the comments that I get from people from everything that I do, it's always like, my God, I've heard this 1,000 times, but now you made it so simple. Now it landed. Now it clicked for me. Now it changed something for me. Wow. Now I can see how I can move forward with this. I have this just natural gift of saying things in a way that makes it click for people. I understand their psychology in a way. I understand how they need to hear things. It's just natural for me. And I present it in a way that like makes it click. So
Really good at that.
Thank you. So knowing that, I can really highlight that and show that through my brand. I can show instead of tell. For you, that was the insight about who you're speaking to. You needed to learn and understand to speak to the 5% who are so done with where they are and so ready to move. And once you understood that, now that shifts the language that I'm using, and the language then attracts the exact person that's meant for this, and they're buying because they feel seen, heard, and understood. Wow. Yeah. One shift created a ripple effect, a domino effect, and everything fell into place. So I can use your story to share that. I can do a client roundup and say, every single person that's ever worked with me, and this is no lie, has told me, oh my God, you just made it click. This is so much simpler than I made it to be. This is an amazing insight. This is my 2343 channel in action. So we can figure out those things for you. And this is how I then do this work. Let's use that and figure out what kind of platforms really suit you, what kind of content styles really suit you, what kind of offers really suit your energy levels. I have a lot of projectors who started off with one-on-one or group coaching, but it's so draining for me. And then we shift into either one-on-one or something that's like more passive courses, digital products or even memberships, and everything is so easy. Right? So like your business model can be shifted, your content strategy, your brand, the things that you are highlighting, right, about yourself. And that's the thing that, a lot of people come to me for. It's, how do I communicate the value of who I am and what I bring to the table? How do I magnetize people and get paid to be myself?
Yeah.
Well, okay, here's your tip. And let's highlight share stories about each of these things, your own transformation around it, how you helped clients around this specific theme, and leverage your entire chart to show people what you're about. Yeah. And so when you share who you are and what your approach is, people can then say, this is exactly what I'm looking for. Thank you. Sign me up. Let's go.
There's going to be a lot of people that are doing similar things to you. There's other people that are doing human design. There's other coaches that do subconscious reprogramming. There's going to be other people in your industry, in your niche. But what makes you unique and stand out is you. So it's better you can really understand you on a deeper level, on an energetic level. You stand firmly. You don't have to try to be like anybody else. You don't have to try to do it like somebody else. You just get to be you. And that feels so fucking good to be able to just do it in your way, a way that's fun, that's easier. Things are going to flow. And so I just think that incorporating human design into your business for sure, but also into your life is so powerful. And I think everyone needs to learn more about this. And everybody listening here, like you have to go check out Iva's Substack. Tell us exactly where to find you because we want to know all the things. And if you have any special offers that are going on right now, anything with the soft era thing, tell us how we can connect with you and learn from you. Give us all the goods.
Yes, absolutely. So if you would love to figure out your it factor and pivot your business in a more aligned direction, Then my brand rising program is where we can do that. And then other than that, we can do long-term coaching. And this is where I guide you through your human design and really alignment and liberating you from all of those blocks and using nervous system and subconscious rewiring. And on top of that, there's the business side of things, all of the aligned strategies, your brand message, communicating all of that, turning strangers into clients, setting up systems and using AI to take the load off of you so you can really double down on the stuff that only you can do, which is sharing your stories and talking about your magic. So brand rising is where I love to start with my clients and create that strategy for pivoting. And then we move on into longer term coaching. And other than that, if you love to dip your toes in, then you're going to have 2 links below this episode for 2 of my Substack publications. One is the Human Design for Business publication. I'm giving away full courses of information in there for free. I think that everyone needs to have access to this. And then I have my Stellar Content Club. It's a paid publication for just $17 a month, where you get weekly content prompts based on the sun transit of the week. So each week, the sun is going through a different gate. And with it, we basically have a different theme that is top of mind for us. And I've been following this for like 3-4 years now. And I can see that anytime that the sun enters a specific theme, let's say the gate of simplicity, all of a sudden, a lot of people are talking about that in their content. And I'm like, there's a pattern here. And this is really more likely than not to be top of mind for people. So let's leverage that and create content around that. So each week I share content prompts and I give trainings. Right now I'm doing 9 days of doubling sales, and I'm sharing mini audio trainings as well as GPT prompts to help you understand who you're serving deeply, specifically what they're experiencing, what they're craving, and to help you communicate through my unique 111 method and taking people from stranger to client by covering certain topics.
Amazing. Okay. Well, I will definitely be over there, and I'm excited to share this with everybody so they can go check out all of your amazing content. You are just so wise, Iva. Thank you so much for being here. I could probably chat with you forever.
I think we should do a sequel.
We should. We absolutely should. Thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate all of your insight. We will put everything here in the show notes, and we'll have Iva back. There's so much we can talk about human design.
Thank you. See you guys.
All right. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Mind Body Manifest podcast. I hope today's episode brought you clarity, inspiration, and some powerful takeaways. If you loved what you heard, don't forget to share it with a friend who could use this message. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. I'd also love for you to rate and review the show. It helps get this message out to more amazing women just like you, and I truly appreciate every single bit of your support. Until next time, keep elevating your mind, healing within, and manifesting your most abundant life.